Hello, and welcome to this webinar about private equity firms. Today we are going to talk about why most private equity firms are missing the real AI opportunity. We keep hearing about AI, seeing it that most of the private equity firms are not getting the point. And it's completely normal. It's because it's quite technical and actually it's about technology. So let's try to talk about it in this webinar, and hopefully at the end of this webinar, you will get it and you will understand what's important and what's not important. So before we go too far, who am I? So my name is Fabian Cross. I co-founded SparkWise Solutions, Data and AI by Ducker Carlisle. I'm also the Chief Data and AI Officer at Ducker Carlisle. And before that, I actually started my career in the US working for Accenture. Then move back to Europe, join a startup specialized in data and AI when data and AI was not cool and sexy. We grew the business like from 50 people to 2,000 in the world, sold the business. Google was our main partner at the time. So when we sold the business, I got the opportunity to join Google to develop data and AI in-house. And that's what I've done for manufacturing. And today, I'm super happy to lead SparkWise and to really be at the forefront of AI. So what I will share today, it's a mix of what we are seeing inside my startup, SparkWise Solutions, but also what I've seen during my career at my first startup and also at Google, and especially what I've seen at Google. Now, in terms of agenda, 4 main steps. We will really talk about all the misconception. I like to joke, like kind of like all the BS that we've seen on LinkedIn, that we see online. We are trying to tackle that to debunk what most of the people are thinking about AI. Then we will actually deep dive on like where to start. We will talk about like who was successful in this transformation around AI. And then we will keep some time for the Q&A sessions. Now let's start. Everybody heard about AI. That's kind of the buzzword now. So yes, it's a massive transformation, but I think people are missing the point. Everybody's talking about LLMs. We've seen with DeepSeek, like everybody was like going crazy about DeepSeek. I think for me, LLM, they are becoming kind of a commodity. And I think the real transformation around AI is not about LLMs. It's really about the opportunity of not buying or not building anymore, but having like a third option. And that's what you see on the slide. It's historically, you had 2 options when you had a business problem. You could buy a software. It was expensive, but it was fast and it was easy. Or you can build one, either a service or a software. It was very time consuming and you needed a lot of resources. So it was sometimes it used to work, but very often it was kind of like really complicated. The really interesting point for me, it's really you have this new option, which is really like building agent. So it's a mix between kind of buying. Now you don't buy a software, but you are buying kind of like cloud solutions, prepackaged solutions directly from cloud providers, and you are building your own agent, your own bespoke solution in a sense. And I think that's really what's interesting, especially because software used to be like massive rule-based kind of like approach. So it was very time consuming because you had to think about all the different ways, all the different approaches, all the different rules. So, that's why it was so expensive to develop. But now the agent is much more agile because you have this kind of like, and I don't like to say intelligent, but you have this kind of like decision-making capability that is changing everything, because now you don't need to put like a list of like 2,000 rules inside your software. You can keep some like leg room for the model, for the agent to actually decide and take a decision. And that's massive. And when I say that's massive, it's not just me saying that. If you look at the market today, look at all those AI-enabled companies. Cursor, Bolt, Lovable, Mercor, 11 Lab, their teams are very small. You can see 20, 15, 30 people, 50 people max. Like software company, they used to have like hundreds, thousands of developers. But now you can see those companies very scalable with very few team members. And I think that's really the opportunity for private equity. It's buy those kind of AI-enabled company, transform traditional company into AI-enabled company. And that's really the big opportunities to tap into this opportunity of creating agents inside existing firms or investing into companies doing that. And to really illustrate, why they are so efficient with few people. You can see here, it's an IT architecture diagram, but you can really see we can plug and play. It's like a Lego. It's like we are playing with Legos blocks. You can play. This one is fun on Azure, because we work a lot in Azure in the manufacturing world, but it could be on Google, it could be on AWS, it can be on OVH if you are in Europe. So you can really pick your cloud provider, take those kind of like cheap blocks, easy to build with, very easy to scale, and then you play with them, you custom make a lot of things, you create your bespoke codes and your own solutions, and very quickly you have like a ready to scale solution. So for me, that's really kind of like what is mind-blowing. It's really this approach. And what does that mean concretely for a private equity firm? It means that now we can build solutions that used to take months in just weeks. And, I like to show this video. It's like typically what we are building with SparkWise Solutions. It's really like an agent for analytics. Like we grab every database that the company has, and actually we are creating kind of an agent able to analyze, to get insight, to extract information, to extract ideas, to extract alerts. And that's really so much time saved for the business. And again, we are repositioning humans into areas where they make impact. So like we work a lot with sales teams. So we are moving sales team from like doing data entry or inputting data into the CRM into speaking with clients and selling more. The time is a big thing, and time is money. So you can see like typically we are building agents that used to cost millions for just a few $100,000. And you can see on this one, it's like, you can really imagine like the machine creating at scale product description. So that's what you can see here. It's really the machine like looking at like a spare parts, because it's like a SKU, any SKU, the machine can look at it, and then it can create, like 10, 15, 20 different descriptions. One description for your website, one for your social media, one for your PIM, one for your B2B clients, one for your B2C clients. I mean, you can really imagine the opportunity are endless, and the machine is doing that in a couple of seconds. So you can really imagine the impact. We've done something like that when I was at Google with Walmart, and actually the CEO talked about it publicly, saying like in terms of productivity, it's 100 times what a human would do. Like it would take 5 years to a human to do that. And with Google, we've done that in a couple of weeks. We can go quite far. I mean, we have a bunch of like example of like bespoke solution that we have creating. So this one is an account payable agent. So it's you just like receive an invoice, and because you are swamped with contracts, you can just ask your agent like, hey, is this amount correct? And then the machine will find the right contract, extract the right information, and tell the right amount, no problem. Or watch out, there is a problem. We've done that with a couple of clients, and they saved millions by doing that, because I mean, it's easy to make a mistake. Sometimes it's on purpose, sometimes it's not. Very often it's not, but very often like nobody's looking at it. So it's like they are losing a lot of money. If we go even further, like for our own startup, we developed our own CRM. I mean, like a CRM is a very expensive solution. So now with AI, like from the ground up, we've created our own CRM, and you can see like the look and feel. So again, like we did something very efficient. We did something for our own benefit. And you can really see, I mean, we can do whatever we want. Like we can add features. It's very easy to do so. Very, very interesting. For some clients, we do their own PIM, product inventory management. So again, very easy. You can see like you can manage a lot of like data. You can, custom make whatever you want. So you can add any feature you want. This one is probably my favorite. It's with creating a pricing agent. And you can really see like this agent is able from a picture to give you a price. So it's like analyzing the pictures. So this one is a filter with charcoal on it to avoid like odors and bad smell. So the model, the agent is able to pick that up. And then you will see the agent is able to create a product description of the part. So you need to think like, in the background, the agent is able to access internet, is able to access the client database, and is actually like extracting data from all those different like forms and databases, and then summarizing that in a good text, product description, and then is able to look for like external prices, competitor prices. The model is able to figure out, like compare with this kind of competitor, not this one, because they are not in the same segment or in the same market. So the agent is very smart. And then you can see at the end, the agent is really like able to articulate, that should be this price and here is why. So that's really our specialty at SparkWise Solution. It's really like we don't create black box solutions. We really like give the full transparency to the end users. Again, I think most of the private equity firms, they are interested by LLMs. So they're like, oh, I wish I could, invest in OpenAI or like, those kind of like research lab. And actually that's very misleading. I think that's a waste of time. I think the reality is like, what is the traditional business that can be disrupted? What can I do to accelerate the profitability of my portfolio company by infusing AI? And you can see, you can replace existing software and like save a ton of money. You can create those solutions and sell that to your existing market base, to your existing clients. You can, join a new market and disrupt an entire market, an entire segment. The opportunities are endless. But again, we really need to think about AI as, this third option of creating your own AI agent, not a software, not a solution, not building a solution from scratch. Really those agents to really go fast and scale them super, super easy. Now we have, this question all the time. So is this secure? So yes, it's secure because we are building everything inside either our clients or your portfolio companies or even your own IT infrastructure inside your private equity firm. So it's actually way more secure than using ChatGPT or any other or Gemini, any other LLMs on the shelf. And, it's very different than using ChatGPT because you get it now. You can connect your own database, like the pricing example. You can really like connect to the internet, connect to your own database, connect to external, internal. You can create kind of like guidelines for your agent. So it's very, very bespoke to your portfolio company or to your private equity firm directly. Now, that's kind of like the new mindset. I think this first part was super important because you need to understand, the impact at the private equity firm. If we take a step back to really understand artificial intelligence, I like to pick those Google trends from my former employer. And you can really see like, it's some people are like, yeah, AI, it's like metaverse, it will fade away. Well, you can see, no, it won't fade away. It's actually an old technology. When you look at this one, you can really see artificial intelligence. It's from the 1960s. So it's not going away anytime soon. And it has been around for a very long time. What really made kind of us famous is really ChatGPT, because I think everybody relied the power of data and the capability of such technology. So we can thank Sam Altman, to make us very famous overnight. Now, again, coming from the 1960s, it's part of this optimization, automation. We talked at some point about RPA. Now it's artificial intelligence, machine learning, and generative AI. We need to really understand that there is two ways of looking at AI. You have what we call the discriminative AI at Google, which is like traditional machine learning. It's like translating a business problem into a mathematical equation. That's really what we are doing. Think about regression. That's typically AI. And then you have generative AI. So again, coming from the Google Lab research on the transformers from 2017, it's kind of young. It's kind of like emerging. It's still kind of new in a sense. And that's really the ability to ask a query in natural language and to get an output that is very different from the input. And usually it's like word to pictures, word to word, word to videos, etc., etc. And this generative AI is very, very new and emerging. Again, I think there is tremendous value around discriminative AI because this technology is still untapped or not leveraged enough at this time. If you really want to understand like generative AI, I think this one is probably the best slide ever. You can see here, so it's a playground from ChatGPT, so that the developer platform for ChatGPT, and you can see the color code. What the color code is like the probability of the next word. So if I say like the sky is, blue is probably like 90% probability. If I'm saying like I'm in Canada, it's winter, the sky is, like the probability will be gray by, 90%. So that's really what generative AI is. It's like really calculating the probability of the next word, like doing the sum of the entire sentences, the entire paragraphs, etc., etc. When you understand that, you understand everything. You understand hallucination. Hallucination is just a mathematical response to a question. It's not a fact. It's a mathematical probability that is higher than the fact. Maybe because the fact is not enough represented in the training set. It's like, not enough information on the internet today. But that's really what it is. And I think it's very important that everybody understand what is behind ChatGPT, because that's what it is. Like from a mathematical point of view, it's heavy matricial calculation, but the technology shift happened because we have a huge amount of data from the internet, and we have the NVIDIA card that was able to process so much matricial calculation. When you combine both, you have a ChatGPT. That's kind of what it is. And then you need to understand the vector database. So everything that is going inside an LLM, it's like vectorized. So it's like a 3D representation of like concept and words. And that's how, you compute kind of the calculation to go to the closest, next word, next sentence, etc. And that's how you compute kind of like the human language. That's how we were able to go super fast, tools like Gemini or ChatGPT. Now, coming back to private equity, I think this slide is amazing because it's really tell you, like the story. So, I mean, at the PE firm, if you want to invest in like chips and hardware, I think it will be tough, or cloud infrastructure. It's, the market is very mature with the hyperscalers, but you have so much opportunity going into like data and AI orchestration, application, services. It should be very exciting for a PE firm because it's opening so much opportunity. So we talked about like the misconception and really, what AI can do. Now let's really talk about where to start, because that's a question I get all the time. And today it's very funny because a lot of companies are coming to me and they say, well, Fabian, it's like AI is not working, the technology is not working. And it's very funny for me because I've been, in this space for a decade and I know the technology is working and is very efficient. But when you really think, I like this picture, it's like when we ask lawyers, hey, you should implement AI because it's great. Well, a lawyer will say, oh yeah, well, I'm just cutting my own job. So what is my incentive to do so? And right now, when you think about it, like most of the company, they are not giving incentive to their employees to implement AI. And that's a problem. We are still industrial revolution organized society where if you want to go up, you need to have big teams. And that's how you move up in your career. Right now, you're not moving up if you are saying like, oh yeah, I can kind of like fire all my team and I will be alone. I will be super efficient. Well, there is a very small chance that you will get promoted. And that's a problem. I think the incentive structure is not working. So when we really see when we look at the number, I think the number are crazy. I think it's only 4% of the companies are actually creating a substantial value from AI because, most of them are doing those three things. They start with top line growth, and we will talk about it why. And then they change the incentive structure, and then they really use data as assets. Why start with top line growth? When you really think about incentives, if I go see, like a legal team and say, we will replace all your team, let's go. But if I go see sales and I say, hey, I can give you tools, I can give you agents, and you will sell more, they will make more money and the company will make more money. So that's very the sweet spot to start because the incentive structure is well aligned for sales team. And that's where we've seen massive amount of success. And, you can use actually Google as we completely transform, like the company inside out to really like reorganize from like account management, from product to client centricity, from like really augmenting the sales force with, tools that are coaching the sales force, not tools that are dragging hours from them, and then really going into the self-service, which was key. The way we were successful implementing AI at Google was really creating a new incentive structure that will benefit actually the sales team to go into self-service, to go to a client centricity, and everything based on a very good customer data platform. And if you look at the number, you can really see Google, we decorrelated the number of FT and the growth. So typically before it was like, you want to grow, you need to just hire more people. But by doing kind of like this shift to reduce the global workforce and continue to grow, which is really essential. And as a P firm, that's what you are trying to do. It's reduce the headcounts, but really, really scale kind of your sales. In terms of incentives, you can really see, the two ends of the spectrum. You can really see like aggressive approach with Klarna. So really like Klarna, they were saying like it's a fintech that can replace your team members. You just get the salary, which is a huge financial incentive to implement AI. And actually, they are one of the first companies to be very vocal about it. And and to implement AI really at scale. Then you have the Google model, which is kind of like a hybrid between, giving financial incentive to do so, but not being that aggressive than Klarna. And then at Ducker Carlisle, when actually Ducker Carlisle funded SparkWise Solutions, we partner up to create like an AI champion program. So in this one, we are not giving financial incentive, but we are creating career opportunity. And that was really a smart move because you could really see people implementing AI because they wanted to gain the skill set, the competencies about AI. And that was, a smart way to keep the financial structure not disrupt the financial structure, but really being effective in implementing AI. And then the last one, which is really like treating data as, very, very organized way of looking at data. When you look at your data today, and your IT situation, you have the business users, you have, a bunch of software, you have the company data lake managed by IT. And then the business users are blaming IT because the software are not working because the data in the data lake is not good. And then the IT is blaming the business user saying, if it's not working, it's not because of the data lake, it's because they are not creating enough data governance. They are just kind of dumping data in the data lake without really paying attention. So you can see this tension. What we're implementing with clients advanced in this space, it's really what you see on this slide. It's a AI-ready business data grid. We took the data mesh concept and we went one step further with AI. It's really like the IT is still responsible of creating kind of like this data grid, giving away tools, giving away solutions, vouching for like tools that the business team can use to create their own data platform. The IT is responsible for the architecture for the solutions, but the data platform now it's controlled by the business team. So now they are responsible for the data that is going inside this data platform. They are responsible for the governance and for the quality of the data. And that's the beauty of it. It's because now they're responsible, they can build their own AI agent and they know exactly what is inside the data platform. So it's very easy actually to scale AI. They can actually plug the third-party software inside this data platform because they know this data platform is well governed. And then they can create connection between the agent and the software. You can also see situation where you completely replace your third-party software with agent only, or other situation where you complement your third-party software with AI agent. Or in some case, it's not in this slide, but you can imagine having just third-party software and not having AI agent. That would be a shame from an AI point of view, but that's a possibility as well. That's really our recommendation if you want to go fast and implement AI with success. That's really kind of the organization that we are recommending. So we talked about, what AI means for real. We talked about where to start. Now let's show you as a private equity firm, like a bunch of examples of like how impactful AI is. And, that's something that we developed between what I've done at Google and then what I've done on my firm before and what we are doing with SparkWise Solutions. It's really like for like I would say a traditional manufacturing company, we estimate that it's easily 25 million per year to unlock at least. And you can really see the way we fade that out. You have like an AI experimentation phase, then you have an integrated operation capabilities and AI blended organization. Of course, you cannot go directly from zero to like an AI blended organization, but if you just start by doing experimentation and you go like to an AI integrated operation, you can see the numbers are massive. I mean, that's an additional, 580K a month of quick wins, like solution that you can start, tomorrow and start implementing them. That's really massive. And when we say, like, how do you do that? So it could be kind of what I was talking at the beginning, your own business. It could be, having your own data quality agent. It could be creating your own pricing solutions. And when you really, put that into the marketplace, you can see, so we've worked with an automotive OEM and we're able to actually drive 32 million by really implementing AI into their retargeting campaigns. So this one is really like digital marketing. This one is really embedding AI into sales. And really look at that for this company. It was like they had a huge RFP team. And they were doing, when you look at what they were doing 80% of the time they were spending like writing, looking for information, trying to kind of like ask a bunch of questions internally to create RFP. We automated most of that. So now they spend 80% of their time fine-tuning RFP, making sure it's relevant for the client, calling client in, like trying to make an impact on the RFP, trying to find if they know someone at the company, trying to know if they worked with them in the past. So really like we improved their win rate like by more than 20%. So by really like taking away all the kind of like boring stuff. So they are really like concentrated into selling more. And that was really like a massive impact on their sales. Another one for a B2B actor, we doubled the win rate in B2B sales. And again, we created what we call the lead factory, where actually we use like internal data and external data to enrich leads. And then, we were able to give very, very precise context, tips, approaches, recommendation to the sales team so they can win this account very quickly. And that's really what happened. And so this one is in the manufacturing world. It's really like on top of the RIM solution, we were able to implement AI to really be much more precise into the dealership segmentation. And it was actually a great way to reduce missed sales opportunity, like how many times you go to a store and what you're looking for is not in the store. So we really cut that down by being super precise on like what product to recommend in what store. And that was, again, it's an 8-figure revenue leakage. So you can really see, like, I'm not joking when I say that the AI opportunity is a massive opportunity. So again, as a private equity company, you can really imagine the impact on your portfolio company implementing those kinds of like AI solutions. And then the funny thing for private equity firms, it's like we have some clients that are like, hey, but you're doing that for our portfolio company. Can you do that for our own firm? That's what we do. So it's like we are creating like their own like knowledge management agent actually inside the private equity firm, because like they're like, yeah, I'm trying to find information. I have so much data in my firm that I need a tool like that. And in the financial world, I think Morgan Stanley, when I was at Google, they were one of the first banks to really implement AI at scale. And you can see here the CEO David is talking on LinkedIn about the power of AI. So this one, I like this one because I'm not saying it. It's like I have no bias. It's like the CEO is directly putting that on his LinkedIn profile. So you can really see the impact of such technology. And hopefully that should inspire private equity firms to really either embed AI inside their own organization or actually embed AI inside their portfolio company. So I think both could be really interesting, could be very fruitful for the PE firms overall. And that's kind of like reaching the last part, which is, again, if we kind of step back and really think about what we've covered today, we talked about the misconception around AI, and that's, the key thing is not like trying to find a new shiny LLM. It's really like how you embed and how you create AI-enabled solution, agent, companies, department. That's a mindset change, and that's a new way of operating a company, of investing, of looking at the value of a company, of doing your due diligence, of picking your next leads, of selecting your new investment. Now, where to start probably for your portfolio companies? Again, start with sales. That's where we've seen a lot of success. That's kind of the quick win, and that's where you create a massive amount of value, and you have this ripple effect, because when you do that for sales, the rest of the organization is like, oh, well, I want to do the same thing. That sounds very interesting. So that's really our recommendation. And then again, like we wanted to share some massive impact, good example of like when AI is implemented properly, that's when you see massive amount of like EBITDA and especially top line growth. Now I will let kind of the team ask me a bunch of questions if they have. Feel free to ask me kind of like anything that you may think. So the question is really about the new operating model. So does that mean that the way we work is completely different than the way we used to work? And I would say yes. When I think about the time I was at Accenture, we were like selling those huge projects, a couple of millions, IT transformations, those kind of things. And, it was really like huge timelines, 3-year project. And I really don't see a future like that anymore, because I think those projects was massive. And a lot of them failed because it was too big too complicated, and it was because it was not agile at all. So what we are doing with SparkWise Solutions is really creating those what we call AI lightning strike, which is really we start with a bunch of problems, and I think that's super important. Key thing that I wanted to highlight during this session is don't try to do AI to do AI. I think it's a recipe for failure. The right approach is really give me your business problem and let's see if AI could be a solution for your business problem. And I think that's really treating AI as a tool is the right approach. AI is not like the silver bullet solving everything. It's a technology, it's a tool. And, the beauty of this kind of approach, it's you start with the business problem, week 0, week 1, and then either we create kind of a bunch of prototypes to give a taste of hey, look what we could do in a week. So we do a week. It's a 1-week sprint. We create a prototype, and then we, at the end of the month, we can really say, hey, we looked at all the use cases. We kind of excluded a bunch of use cases that are, not realistic. We picked a bunch of use cases that are realistic, and then we picked the top 3 and we created a prototype. And inside those, each week we are creating the architecture, the roadmap, we estimate the cost. So at the end of the month, you really know all the use cases where you can apply AI as an accelerator. And for your top 3, you can really see, how much it will cost, the value it will drive, etc., etc. So it's very useful. Or for some clients, they want to really pick the best one and just say, hey, implement me a CRM, create for me a PIM, create for me a pricing solutions. And then we design a couple of weeks and we say, okay, for a PIM, it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And then at the end of this, 5 weeks, here is your PIM, it's implemented, it's inside your IT infrastructure, and you are ready to go and ready to use and ready to unplug your PIM or don't need to invest into a PIM. I like this approach a lot. I think that's where we've seen a tremendous amount of opportunity. Someone is asking me the best use case for a private equity firm. I think the easiest one is really the knowledge base, because what I've seen from my experience is every time, when we go to P firms, we have PPTs everywhere on local storage, on a Google Drive, on a OneDrive, and then, some partners, they still remember where it is, but, most of the firm, they have no clue where it is. So they're wasting a lot of time. So just creating a good knowledge base with a good agent to interact with, that's gold. You are gaining or saving so much time by having this kind of organization. It's actually really kind of probably the best use case for P firm. I think another one that is that I like it a lot. So obviously you have to do a lot of reporting. Every quarter you want to send kind of the financial situation of your portfolio companies to your LPs. So we can really with we've work on that. It's really take all those information that you get from your portfolio company and then translate all of this data into kind of a standard deck that you can send every quarter. So same thing, it's an easy use case, straightforward. It takes a couple of weeks to do that. Then it's very efficient because you don't need to waste your time. You can spend more time on trying to find new investment or help your portfolio companies to be better, which is better investment for smart people like you guys in PE firms. That's really on this one. Oh, well, okay, I like this one. So this one is interesting. So this one is more from a research point of view, which is a topic I love. But so we've seen a lot of progress around words. ChatGPT was really heavy in wording, text, giving me where I see the next run of innovation in this space. I think it's you need, and actually you will like this one. There is a startup called Word Labs. It's coming from the former professor of AI at Stanford, Lily Fay, and I think it's brilliant because they seen the problem of the current situation, which is we took internet and we've created LLMs and we have creating models that are great to generate text or pictures or videos because we have a lot of those kind of files online. But they said, it's so far away from the real world. I think the real impact, it's really when we will able to interact with the real world and blend real world with digital. Right now, it's we are still in a 2D vision of the world. I think the key will be really going into more a 3D representation of the world. And that's what they are doing. They are really exploring how we can take 3D data and how we can create similar technology to really create war and to create simulations. And I think that's really where we will do a new leapfrog. It's really when we'll create enough of this data, of 3D data, to really, again, ask any model to kind of like imagine a new world, or, change, like the 3D representation of my house, to modelize a car, to really kind of like start interacting. So you won't need a device anymore. It will be like you can ask, and then it will create like physical representation, either like digitally or actually creating, on the fly, some like solutions. So I think that's really where we see the next frontier. The next frontier is going outside of the 2D world toward a 3D world. Well, if in case you want to dig further on AI, but you are not sure where to start, we are happy to do this program of Find the Best AI Use Case program. So it's really, we spend time with, your private equity team members or with your portfolio company, and we are trying to find the best use case, and then we pick the best use case, and then we give you a proposal for those use case. So this is a no-cost program. It's really like, if you don't know where to start, you can rely on us to kind of like set up the first step toward this AI transformation. A huge thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest. So again, as a reminder, so our name is like SparkWise Solutions. You can reach out to us, SparkWise at duckercarlisle.com. You can add me on LinkedIn, Fabien, Fibien Cross. I'm posting a lot about AI, and you can ask, any question you want. You can also email me. My email is fcross@duckercarlisle.com. Again, a huge thank you. So hopefully you learned something, that it was interesting, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you, and be well.